Ohio State, you need to be honest with yourself. It's important that you do that. You banned Dave Portnoy, not Fox. Because I know you like saying that. You say, "Oh no, we didn't ban Dave Portnoy. Fox did." No, you need to be honest with yourself. You banned Dave Portnoy, and that needs to stop. You have all of the momentum in the world right now. You're coming off a season where you won the national championship and you had a national championship celebration, and then you have the Blue Jackets right here play an outdoor game, hockey, at the shoe that brought millions of people worldwide to watch on TV, that set a new record for most watched outdoor hockey game since 2019. It also set a new record for second highest ever hockey game, attendance wise, for over 94,000. So much positive energy and momentum came out of that. And then you have the big game that you had with Texas and all the talk and all the hype and excitement leading up to that. And people are talking about that. And it's like, ooh, Ohio State, they're playing a big game against Texas. That's cool. Looking forward to see that. Wonder how that's going to go. And that, if you pay attention to Ohio sports Twitter the last month or so, that's what you've seen, a good chunk of that. Good chunk of Ohio sports Twitter has been talking about the big game that Ohio State had with Texas. So you have all of this positive energy and momentum, and then you decide to essentially piss some of that away because you're worried about what Dave Portnoy, a Michigan guy, might say about you. That is weak. That is pathetic. Loser behavior. That is soft. You're better than that. Don't do that. You played right into Dave Portnoy's hand because now he gets to do more of his cheering for Michigan, rip on Ohio State shtick. Oh, look at these, Ohio State people crying Ryan Day and Ohio State's soft and Ohio State can't beat Michigan, so they banned me and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. That's what he's done. Strategic error, blunder, misplay. Did not have to be like that. You should have just ignored him and not done anything. Let him in your stadium. Who cares? He said some rude things about Ohio State. That's what he does. He's a Michigan guy. He likes Michigan. He doesn't like Ohio State. Just ignore him. Who cares? Who cares? Because you have all of the momentum in the world right now. Like I said, national championship celebration. The Blue Jackets play an outdoor hockey game at the shoe. Awesome. 94,000 plus people there, sets new TV records, new attendance records, so much positive momentum. You have all the momentum in the world. Why does it matter? Why are you focusing on one person and what they have to say? Why? You don't need to do that. You're better than that. You just are. That was not necessary. And All you have to do is beat Michigan, and that shuts Dave Portnoy up because then he will have nothing to say. Because that's his basic main shtick, which is show support for Michigan, rip on Ohio State. He can only do that if Ohio State keeps losing to Michigan, which they have been. Because I notice that Dave Portnoy wasn't saying anything when Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer were absolutely kicking the crap out of Michigan and beating them consistently again and again and again and again. Dave Portnoy wasn't saying nothing. He had nothing to say. He only has something to say because Ryan Day sucks against Michigan. That's it. You beat Michigan, he has nothing to say in regards to Ohio State, Michigan. His main shtick goes away. But, you just couldn't help yourself. You couldn't just ignore him. You had to ban him. You played right into his hand. Also, I'm of the belief now that this whole soft thing, that's an insecurity for you. Because if you are not soft, you don't do that. No, I think it's an insecurity for Ryan Day, too. He knows it. You don't freak out at Lou Holtz, a dude who's like really old and probably like 90-something years old. Probably. I don't know how old he is, but if I had to take a guess, that's probably it. He's probably 90-something years old. You don't freak out on him if you're not soft. And, of course, Lou Holtz called out Ohio State saying, no, they're not tough, they're soft, they're this, they're that. And what's Ryan Day do? I want to know where Lou Holtz is. We're a tough team. We're a tough team. It's like, no. Teams that are tough don't have to go out of their way and say that they're tough. They know they're tough. They show it. They go out there and prove it. Teams that are not tough or are insecure about their toughness or lack thereof, they go out of their way and say, no, we're tough, we're tough, we're tough. You don't need to do that. You just don't. And all this would go away if you beat Michigan. But the unfortunate reality is that you don't beat Michigan. You lost 4 in a row against them, which is just so horrible, so disgustingly bad, weak, pathetic. Kind of ruins the season you just had. Yeah, won a national championship. Really cool. I like that. But it's still kind of a failure because you didn't beat Michigan. You lost to them for the 4th year in a row. That's stupid, idiotic nonsense. What is that garbage? You need to beat Michigan. And, people call Ohio State soft and, Ohio soft and this and that. Guess what? You're not helping that when you do stuff like that when you're banning Dave Portnoy. That feeds into that. It also doesn't help that the last 4 times Michigan has just smoked your ass and bullied you by just pounding the ball down your throat. Ohio State, unfortunately, has no answer for that right now. 4 years in a row, Ohio State has just gotten their ass handed to them by Michigan and they gotten smoked. Michigan pounds the ball down Ohio State's throat and they can't handle it. Weakness against physicality. No toughness against Michigan. Nothing. So, that doesn't help. And I know it's not an Ohio State thing, but when you have people from the state government of Ohio trying to pass laws that say no flag planting, that makes you look weak, pathetic, loser behavior. You don't want a flag planted on the field, guess what? Beat them. So they can't do that. So that they will have nothing to talk about. They will have nothing to say. Be like Jim Tressel. Be like Urban Meyer, who again consistently smoked Michigan, destroyed them again and again and again and again. A combined 16-1. Because you notice that Dave Portnoy had nothing to say during that time period. Michigan had nothing to say during that time period. Michigan fans had nothing to say during that time period because they knew that they sucked. They knew that they were not better than Ohio State. They knew that they had no reason to talk, no reason to be talking shit and running their mouth. Nothing. They had nothing. And that's how it's done. You beat them, they have nothing to say. All this trash talk and outside noise that you hear from Michigan and Michigan fans and Dave Portnoy, it only exists because Ohio State keeps losing to Michigan. If you're like Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer and you smoke that ass and you beat them again and again and again and again consistently, all that stuff goes away. Because then they have nothing to say. So it's really that simple. Beat them. And then just don't worry about what other people have to say. And just stop with this like weak, pathetic, soft behavior. Because that definitely was not there when Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer were there. You know, they weren't complaining about, oh, big noon kickoff and, oh, no, the game's at noon. No, it should be a night game. Shut up. Weak behavior. Oh, my God, it's at noon. Okay, you know what? Sure. Would it be better if certain games were at 2:30 or 3:30 Eastern time or a night game? Yeah. You don't always get your way. It doesn't always work out like that. Sorry. Stop complaining. And then you have this, again, another person in the state government of Ohio trying to pass a law that says, oh, ban noon kickoffs. Again, stupid, idiotic behavior. Weak, loser behavior. Oh, no, big noon kickoff. Oh, it's at noon. It should be a night game. Stop. You're better than that. No more. You know, I'm not that old. I'm 33, but you know what? Screw it. I'm going to have a, old man yells at cloud, get off my lawn moment. I remember growing up, no one was complaining about what time Ohio State games started. Oh, it's at 11 o'clock. Guess what? It's at 11 o'clock. It's at 2:30. It's at 2:30. It's at 7 o'clock. Oh, okay. It's at 7 o'clock. No one complained. You accepted it for what it is. Complaining about start times doesn't really get you nowhere. You can't really do anything about it. So just stop. Knock it off. You're better than that. Just stop. Ugh. And then, oh, they stole our signs. Cheater, 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 cheating. Connor Stallions, Connor Stallions. Again, no. Stop. Stop. Like, yeah, that was a thing, and that certainly had something to do with it. But at the same time, you didn't beat them. You had 4 chances to beat them and shut those people up. And you couldn't do it. So shut up. Knock it off. No more of this weak, loser, pathetic behavior. Oh, they cheated. They stole our signs. Connor Stallions. I don't want to hear it anymore. Kick the shit out of Michigan. Beat those people. That's how you do it. That's how you get it done. Just like Urban Meyer, just like Jim Tressel. That's what they did. All you people out there just need to knock it off. Ohio State gets shit on enough as it is. You don't need to add more to that. Unnecessary garbage. It doesn't have to be like that. Again, I can remember a time when Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer's teams. You know, you lost a game, it's like, yeah, it sucked and whatever, but oh well. Generally speaking, no complaining, and we just, you know what, that sucked. Don't like it, but you know what? Move on to the next game. We'll get them next time. Now it's your complaint. Just stop. Just maybe the other team was better. Just maybe, instead of complaining about stuff. Ugh. And you know what? Fuck it. We're going on a little rant here, but another thing, you know, you like to say, "Oh, Michigan ducked." Michigan ducked. Of course, in 2020, coronavirus was really a big thing, and some games were canceled. It happened, and then people say, "Oh, Michigan ducked Ohio State. Michigan ducked Ohio State." Okay, may or may not be a thing, but I'm sorry, Ohio State fans. You need to shut up on this one. You're not in a position to be talking about this. Because if you really want to go through this whole duck thing, then that could be thrown right back in your face. And people could say, huh, so you're saying that Michigan ducked Ohio State. You could say the same thing about Ohio State, that, they had 2 games canceled. They were supposed to play against Illinois and Maryland, and it didn't happen. Because, coronavirus, a really big issue back then. It got people sick, and it prevented people from playing games. And people could say, hey, Ohio State, you ducked Illinois and Maryland. So I'd just be careful with that. I would just settle down. You want to say Michigan ducked Ohio State, fine. But then that can get thrown right back in your face. Because, oh no, okay, you ducked Illinois or Maryland. Which honestly is worse. If you really want to go with that whole duck thing, ducking Illinois and Maryland is worse. What are you so scared of Illinois and Maryland? They're not a threat to you. Historically, they suck at football. They're not the greatest. Like, you are Ohio State. You are like way up here. You are the best of the best. Illinois and Maryland are not up here. They're not at your level. Like down here. Not even close. You should not be worried about them or scared about them. Play them. That's way worse, in my opinion, than Michigan ducking Ohio State. Now, a lot of people like to say that had that game played, Ohio State would have smoked them. Probably true. We don't know. We'll never know. But I have a feeling that was probably going to happen because Michigan wasn't playing very good that season. But then I've seen this comment pop up too, which is like, based off of what just happened not that long ago when Ohio State last played Michigan, that how Ohio State had all the talent in the world, just a real good team, playing like a really good team, and they shit the bed against Michigan. They pooped their pants against a team that was just so god awful, like the worst 6-5 team I've seen in my lifetime. A team that offensively, minus running the ball, was awful. It wasn't very good. They wasn't very good. They really couldn't throw the ball. Davis Warren, a quarterback who can't really throw, he had 62 yards. And yet, even after through all of that, they still find a way to win. Ohio State still loses. So the point being is like Ohio State kind of shit the bed there. And if they lose to a team that sucked, that Michigan team that sucked, and you lose to a team that just can't really throw the ball and for the most part is very bad and anemic on offense, then maybe they would have lost that game back in 2020 based off of that, which I could see that. I don't think that would have happened. I do believe that in the event, if Ohio State had played Michigan in 2020, more likely than not, Ohio State would have smoked them. They would have beat them pretty good. But it didn't happen, so we'll never know. So, you know. Oh, and, another thing is, obviously is, NCAA special treatment to Michigan and all that sort of stuff. It's like, okay. You can make that same argument, only except instead of the NCAA, it was the Big Ten. Because in 2020, the rule was you needed 6 wins to get to the Big Ten championship. Ohio State only had 5. And who was the team that probably should have gone there? It was Indiana. The Big Ten championship under the rules should have been Indiana versus Northwestern. It wasn't. So, they made the special exception for Ohio State to get in there and win playing the Big Ten championship game, even though they didn't have 6 wins. They only had 5. And of course, Ohio State wins that Big Ten championship game, beats Clemson, and then gets smoked by Alabama in the national championship game. So, every team to a certain degree, in some way, shape, or form, if your name is like an Alabama, an Ohio State, a Michigan, or a Florida, Georgia, or Oklahoma, or Clemson, or whatnot, yeah, more likely than not, you're probably going to get some form of, special treatment that other teams wouldn't get. You're probably looking the other way. But, that's just kind of set besides the point. I've kind of gone on a little rant here. But, it's okay, Ohio State. Just be honest with yourselves. Fox didn't ban Dave Portnoy. You did. Because you got your feelings hurt. And, Bobby Carpenter from 97.1 The Fan. Of course, that's the big radio station down in Columbus. All the sports there. Of course, official radio station, not only the Blue Jackets, but also Ohio State. But then but Bobby Carpenter, he's there. He said, no, we have it on authority that Ohio State does not want Dave Portnoy there. We want to ban him, basically. I'm paraphrasing it. And Bobby Portnoy, I'm sorry, not Portnoy, but Bobby Carpenter, he is, he's up there. He is seen as kind of well regarded within Ohio State and Ohio State fans and the community there. So, if he kind of says something, there's a good chance it's probably true. And this is backed up by another Ohio State writer that I've seen basically say the same thing, that Ohio, quote, kind of paraphrasing, that Ohio State's not going to let Dave Portnoy get in there and make fun of us, basically. And that is something that when Ohio State fans try and bring them, no, we didn't ban, either Ohio State fans or Ohio State be like, no, we didn't ban Dave Portnoy. And it's like, you did, because then I've seen this. Michigan fans pop in there with a response and like, no, actually you did. Here's Bobby Carpenter saying that, or there's an Ohio State writer that said it. So just stop. Just stop with this loser weak behavior. Be honest with yourself and say, yeah, we banned Dave Portnoy. We didn't want him there. I still think it would be stupid, but at least you were honest with yourself. Instead of this, well, no, 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 we didn't ban him. Fox did. Yeah, we'll go with that. That's totally believable. Fox did that, not us, even though we did. So, Ohio State, be honest with yourself. You banned Dave Portnoy, not Fox. That's the truth. People can argue with me, that's fine, but they're wrong, and that's okay. So, be honest with yourself, Ohio State. Be honest with yourselves. You banned Dave Portnoy, not Fox. That's all I have to say for now.